Now is the third installment about the tearing and the aftermath, delivering my placenta for my vaginal birth with my second baby. I am Abby McKenna from Ready Set Mum. Thank you, ladies, for those who are joining me for the third video, and congratulations to all the ladies that have made it from the first video to the second video to the third video. And now I'm going to do the third installment talking about my birth experience with Indiana, and I'm going to tell you about my tearing and delivering the placenta. Now, like as with any birth story, I could be here with you and talk to you about all the nitty gritty for hours and hours and hours. But I really want to talk about the stuff that a lot of people don't talk about. And I'm sure as you are here with us with Ready Set Mum, you will find out more and more details about my birthing experience because I love speaking about it. I really, really do. Now, I tore, okay, so I was on my back when I delivered Indiana. The nurses actually had my legs and Greg and were pushing it back, and I found that really helpful to be able to push against someone pushing against my legs. It wasn't my desired position, it's where I ended up, okay? And after Indiana was delivered, I had her up here, and like I said, I'd refuse the little water injections in my back because I'm terrified of needles. And I remember one of the midwives saying to me, I had this beautiful baby, and my cord was still attached at this stage and my placenta had not yet been delivered. And she said to me, look, you've had a tear and we're going to have to stitch you up. To which I said to her, I'm not listening. And she let it go, okay? And then it was time to deliver my placenta. Now, lots of women will be able to deliver their placenta on their own. I, for some reason, was not able to do that. My contractions actually stopped straight after I'd had Indiana. I didn't realize, but for most women, your contractions continue a little bit after that so you can deliver your placenta. Now, my contractions weren't there, and the midwife kept saying to me, Abby, if your placenta doesn't get delivered soon, we're going to have to give you an injection in your leg to speed up the delivery of your placenta. I continued to tell her that I wasn't listening because I was terrified of injections. So they let me try and deliver it on my own. I had my baby here. They let me get up out of the bed, cord still delivered through my vagina, waddle off, and they said, go and have a wee, see if you can push your placenta out that way. This for my partner was hilarious. He said, you should have seen you naked, covered in gory stuff with the baby, stuff hanging out between your legs. I tried to do it that way. It didn't come. So anyway, I had to have the injection, and once I had the injection, my placenta came quite quickly. I had to push a little bit. There wasn't any contractions, and there was a little bit of damage to my muscles and things in my nether region. So I couldn't really feel where I was pushing. I just kept trying to have a poo. Well, pushing as if I was having a poo. And they helped me to birth my placenta, and I remember when it came out, it was warm and squishy and felt really weird, but that was done. And then I had a look at my placenta because it's amazing. If you've got the opportunity or it's something that you're interested in, it's like the tree of life. It's absolutely phenomenal. But then a little bit later, they clamped the cord because we did delayed cord clamping, and then Indiana was separate from my placenta. Then they brought up being stitched up again. So I had actually tore from my birth canal, so from the whole of my vagina upwards past my clitoris. A lot of women that give birth on their backs, I found out, often tear the opposite direction towards their anus, but we had also done perineal massage, so that might have saved me from that as well. I'm not sure, but it was brought up with me again that I had some tears there and I was going to have to be stitched up, and I said no. So what they did was they recruited Greg and said, Greg, can you please come and have a look at this? And Greg had tried to avoid that at all costs. Abby really needs to have some stitching. Can you please tell her that she needs to? So Greg had a look at it and he said, okay. He said, you've got a tear. I said, I've heard that. And he said, it's about that long. It goes from, and he used the language, your hole past your clitoris, and he said it's just flapping around in there. To which the midwives had an absolute field day with that and thought it was hilarious. And I looked at him and said, it's just flapping around there. In there, is it? It's just flapping around. He said, yeah, it's just flapping around in there. So I had to have stitches. I actually got to choose not to have some of the stitches internally because it wasn't going to affect me. I can still feel the internal scar. It's fine. It hasn't affected anything. I can still see and feel the external scar. Unless I pointed it out to you, which I'm not going to do, you wouldn't notice it. Everything's fine and it's all intact, but I can see it still there. So what they did was went and did all of the measurements on Indiana and started telling me everything that was going on with her to try and take my mind off of that. It is numb beforehand, so there is an injection to numb it beforehand. I didn't feel anything. Just so you know, ladies, if you are lucky enough to have stitches where they numb it, if you're anything like me, and I'm sure it will be fine, you cannot feel anything. I literally just sort of said, I have just pushed this gigantic thing out of a very small hole, and now you want to go there with a needle. It's not happening. But I'm very, very glad that they did, because now where I see my scar, I'm just very, very glad that they did, because everything is all still intact. And then that night, I'm going to give you a little bit of an extra bonus. I was on my own in the hospital. Just Indiana and I was in a public room. There was another lady alongside of me, and my midwife came in, and she came in with a long, thin, almost like a tampon, but a little bit longer, about this long, tube of ice about this round, covered by paper. And she said, you know, you've damaged some muscles and some tendons down there. There's bruising, and that happens with having a baby, but it goes away. She said, what you need to do is just insert this and it will take away the pain, putting ice on an injury. And I looked at her and I said, where would you like me to put that? I am not putting that where I think you want me to put it. And she said, where do you think I want you to put it? I said, you want me to put that inside of my vagina? I'm not doing that. It's too sore in there. Nothing is going in there. She laughed at me. She said, Abby, no, it's for the outside. She said, put a pad in your knickers, wrap it in toilet paper so it's not directly on your skin, or wrap it in cloth so it's not directly on your skin, and put it on your pad in your knickers and pull it up, and it will numb that area like ice on an injury. Thank God. Ladies, best thing ever. I had access to that fridge, and I went through so many tubes of those little icy things. Amazing, amazing, amazing. But I was sitting there that night, and I was so proud of myself because I'd managed to stick as much as I could to my birth plan. I had this beautiful little baby. And anyway, that I realized then after Ayla was a cesarean that it didn't matter how they got delivered. It didn't matter what you did or what your choices were. It's just amazing. But I found myself almost feeling shocked and shaking quite a bit on my own. And I could hear a lady off in the distance going through labor, and I could hear the noises, and it was like it brought it back to me. And I remember sitting there thinking, don't ever do this again. I said, remind yourself every day how that was, how painful that was, and do not ever do it again. Ever, 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 ever. The next morning, I'd managed to get about 4 hours sleep in between feeds with my beautiful little baby, and I woke up and I looked at her and I was like, oh, I could do this again. I'm like, no, remember what you told yourself last night, but I couldn't remember anymore. Your body is amazing at helping you not to remember those things so that you will do it again. And even to this day, ladies, I would happily do it again. It is the most amazing experience. Your body is phenomenal. However you bring your baby into this world, your body is absolutely phenomenal. You are absolutely phenomenal. It is an amazing experience. Make sure you look to Ready Set Mum and talk to other mums about their experiences and what worked for them. Take what works for you, get rid of what doesn't. And I've really enjoyed telling you all about my gory birth details, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the website again here soon.